How you doing out there? Frankie Russo, pre-show 136. Yeah, man. We're popping, baby. America's team. We got to help America's team help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. Unfortunately, the numbers coming out aren't very good. They're talking about the men and women of the United States Armed Forces like committing like 22 suicides a day. Crazy stuff. We got to help these people. They are the reasons why Frankie Russo at 11:30 or something in the night. I could come up here at 77 WABC. The freedom that they provide us over here in America is amazing. We got to help our men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. Fundraising slow right now, but that's okay because we ain't stopping. F Russo 14 at AOL.com. You got to check it out. Yeah, yeah. And now I'm going to, like I did last week, I'm going to pop with the pre-model, the model of the Obama-Clinton crime family. I believe it's statistically significant. I got my articles over there. Let me get them. And we'll be popping. Let me just get my articles. Yeah. I got my articles. Okay, good. We're ready to roll. Okay. So, we got a fraudulent selective registration card. Sheriff Joe and a cold case posse. Obama. Right? Clinton Foundation. Iranian Global Terror Network. Right? And then we got the Iranian surrogate, the Iranian terror surrogates. So we got the IRGC, Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, Quds Force, General Soleimani, Syria, Assad, CARE, Council of American Islamic Relations, NAIT, ISNA. That's through the Holy Land Foundation trial. That's at the Blind Sheikh's Mosque. And then we got a Levy Foundation, Asa Corporation, Bank Melli of Iran, and then we got ISIS, Iran Nexus, Al Qaeda, Iran Nexus, Hezbollah, Iran Nexus, Hamas, Iran Nexus, and Afghan Taliban, Iran Nexus. And then we got Blind Sheikh's Mosque, so we know that the Levy Foundation, Asa Corporation, Bank Melli of Iran, 650 Fifth Avenue case. That's the Shore of Iran's building, and when he got thrown out of Iran, the mullahs took it over, And the Levy Foundation gave $105,000 to the Clinton Foundation. And it hasn't come out yet in mainstream media, but the Clinton Foundation conceivably is a charitable fraud. And what also came out was the Levy Foundation, which is within the United States jurisdiction, and it wasn't deemed a terrorist entity by the United States Treasury Department. The Bank Melli of Iran and S Corporation were both designated. Bank Melli was designated proliferator of weapons of mass destruction by the United States Treasury Department, and S Corporation, which owned interest. They all owned interest in 650 Fifth Avenue over here in Manhattan, 53rd Street, and Lexington Avenue. So they sent, according to, I got three sources, $1.4 million to the Blind Cheeks Mosque, right? And then we got, so that's a Shia, the Islamic Republic of Iran, sending $1.4 million to the Blind Cheeks Mosque. And then we got this, the release of 5 Quds Force leaders in Erbil, Iraq in 2009. And then we got the Bergdahl deal. Where Qatar, they were sent to Qatar with, according to Tony Shaffer on the O'Reilly Show, 5 Afghan Taliban from Gitmo, plus $5 billion was sent to Qatar. And then we got, Qatar is a very crazy place because, for all intents and purposes, Qatar, according to Congressman Lamborn from Colorado, Qatar is a safe haven for terror financiers. So, and it came out, for example, this Qatari national Al-Nomani, according to the United States Treasury, sent $1 to $2 million weekly to ISIS, Iraq, and Al-Qaeda in Iraq for an indefinite period of time. And he sent hundreds of thousands of dollars to Yassin al-Suri, who's the facilitator of the Al-Qaeda-Iran nexus in Iran. All right, so that's what went on over there. And then we got the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. Iran's on the other end. Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, Congressional Research Service. Iran sends tens of millions of dollars to Hamas, Palestinian Authority, Hamas, plus rockets. And we're sending money to Palestinian Authority under the guise of national security, humanitarian aid. And what happened there was 88 United States senators said, what's going on over here? How do we know that Hamas is not using this money for weapons, for terrorism? We don't. They are. We know. And we send it anyway. And then we have Egypt. We threw out Mubarak. We got Morsi. Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood. We sent 1.5 billion. I don't know if it got all that money there, but because he got thrown out by Sisi in the coup d'etat. And we sent 20 jet fighters. I'm not sure we sent 20. Maybe we sent 2. But according to the Washington Post, the Egyptian prosecutor tried Morsi. He got 20 years in prison for espionage, colluding, working together with the Islamic Republic of Iran and Muslim Brotherhood. Crazy stuff. And then we got Syria. Assad. And Washington Free Beacon. Adam Credo, Congressional Research Service. Iran sends an estimated 3 to 15 billion annually to Syria. Syria, we sent, I don't know, we published reports, a $500 million. Let's say we sent 100 million. I don't know, 50 million. Weapons to arm the Syrian rebels to take on Assad. And then it ended up where we only had 30 fighters, and it got down to 9 Syrian rebel fighters. and quite frankly, they ended up giving the weapons to ISIS. So it ended up being a joke, you know. So I don't know what went on over there, but it was a travesty. The weapons that whatever they got from us, and whatever money was sent over there, I'm assuming Iran, the Syria, I don't know. ISIS took, according to it's my understanding that the Syrian rebels gave the weapons to ISIS. And just for the record, what's really interesting is that Libya, Benghazi, the cover up in Benghazi, which we talk about all the time, Benghazi cover up is Kenneth Timmerman, Dark Forces, The Truth About Benghazi, claims that it was the Quds Force and General Soleimani that did the horrific hit on the Benghazi mission. They sniffed it out and they found that the Libyan Islamic Fighting Group, uh, which was the precursor with the Operation Zero Footprint, with that supposed real or fake coup d'etat on Gaddafi. Gaddafi got taken out, and then what happened was the weapons were coming in pre-Gaddafi, then weapons were going out and out of Libya, and the Iranian Quds Force, General Soleimani, sniffed it out, and they used the Ansar al-Sharia as a ruse to deflect that they were behind, because they're the major leagues according to Ken Tillman. Ansar al-Sharia is the JV team. And the Quds Force, Iranian Quds Force, Special Forces of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and General Soleimani sniffed it out and found that the weapons that were leaving and going out of Libya were headed for the Syrian rebels to take on Assad. They put the hit on Benghazi and took out the 4 Americans. So, and the Obama Clinton crime family covered for them. That's the travesty of the day. So that's the model. And now, before I get into some articles, I want to get into a little more deeply, because I'm pecking away. I haven't finished the blog yet because I'm still pecking away at this what do you call it? Oh yeah, my blog on, because I'm working on a blog. My mind is just starting to, my vitamins are kicking in, so I'm working on a blog. Can it be argued that ISIS isn't a Sunni militia, but rather a Sunni Shia militia? I don't know, right? If I can't find the paper, I'll just do it off the board. I could have swore I put it here. I don't have it. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, here it is. Here. Beautiful. Okay. In the courtroom of American public opinion, the premise, statistically significant, Obama-Clinton administration is conceivably a criminal enterprise. In the courtroom of American public opinion, it hasn't gone through the official sniff test. If statistically significant, the Obama-Clinton administration is a criminal enterprise, then we can state with much statistical significance that the Obama-Clinton crime family, in all likelihood and all probability, is conceivably fronting for radical Islamists. And this is the premise, and that's the ultimate conclusion. That's the conclusion we're going to draw based on the data that I've been putting up here for the last, I got a 16-part series, Frankie Russo Media. You can check it out. Now, the Islamic Republic of Iran equals the world's largest state sponsor of terror. That's nctc.gov, and equals the Iranian Global Terror Network, which equals the Iranian terror surrogates. And this is where I'm going to start to show you. Weapons of mass destruction equals the Iran's long-term ballistic missile program. Iran's nuclear program equals the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which equals the Iranian Quds Force, General Soleimani. Okay, so now you got the breakdown on what's behind the Islamic Republic of Iran. Why the Islamic Republic of Iran is on the nctc.gov website, the world's largest state sponsor of terror. And now we're going to go in deeper. The Iranian terror surrogates. Al Qaeda, Iran nexus, Sunni Shia terror connection, and so plus, for example, U.S. courts ruled the following. I'm paraphrasing this. The Islamic Republic of Iran materially supported Al Qaeda before, during, and after the horrific hit on the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. That's a fact. United States District Courts. Hamas-Iran nexus equals Sunni Shia terror connection plus the Islamic Republic of Iran provides tens of millions of dollars to Hamas plus about 10,000 rockets to drop on Israel. Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, Congressional Research Record Service. I'll just give you examples before I get to ISIS. These are some of the examples of, because I'm arguing, can it be argued that ISIS isn't a Sunni militia, but arguably a Sunni Shia militia? So now I'm showing you some examples of some Sunni Shia militias, like the Afghan Taliban Iran nexus, which equals a Sunni Shia terror connection, plus the Islamic Republic of Iran materially supports the Afghan Taliban, and an article, a big article by the Wall Street Journal, claiming that Iran sends money and weapons to the Afghan Taliban. Hezbollah, Iran. This is a Shia terror network, a Shia terror organization, and plus the world's largest state sponsor of terror, the Islamic Republic of Iran. And they're involved in the 1983 Beirut bombing, where they killed over 200, the unfortunate killing of over 200 Marines, plus the Crowbar Towers in Saudi Arabia and the Nairobi embassy bombings in Africa. So this is some of the things that Hezbollah-Iran connection was involved in. Many more other things as well. The Benghazi hit, they're involved in that, according to Kenneth Tillman. Now ISIS right now, for all intents and purposes, they claim ISIS is a Sunni militia, which is basically according to the intelligence community, Al Qaeda in Iraq is where it started, April of 2013. ISIS-Iran nexus equals the Sunni Shia terror connection. Now I got a few articles here. ISIS, Iran's instrument for regional hegemony. And I got some things to underline. Here's the article. Okay. I don't know if they saw it. Did I give it good? Okay, good. There it is. That's better. I think that's better. Here's the article. ISIS, Iran's instrument for regional hegemony. I outlined a few points here. I'm going to take from this article. I'm going to blog it as part of the argument, as part of the contention, the argument that the data that we're gathering. The first point: ISIS emerged in Syria. Immediately after ISIS emerged in Syria, Syrian opposition said, this is according to Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs article, ISIS, Iran's instrument for regional hegemony. We are familiar with the commanders of ISIS. Once they belonged to Assad's intelligence. Assad is the prime minister of Syria. Second point, Iran wants to be certain that a strong Iraqi state doesn't emerge again along its western border. They're talking about the Iran-Iraq war in the 80s, 80 to 88, about an 8-year war. Another point, given the extraordinary dependence of the Syrian state on Iran, which is proven by the Washington Free Beacon, Adam Credo, the Congressional Research Service, it is difficult to imagine that Tehran is not fully updated on the security policies the Assad regime pursues. Now, in this article, the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, President Assad released ISIS operatives from his prisons. And according to this Al-Ariba, Abdul Rahman, ISIS is a creation of Iranian and Syrian intelligence. Most of its members are in the dark and do not know they are being manipulated, and some of the Al Qaeda leaders are still living in Iran. Another point, the U.S. Department of Treasury released a statement designating the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security as a supporter of international terrorism organizations, MOIS. This was in 2012, stated that the Sunni Al Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS, was provided money and weapons by the MOIS, the Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security, right? So this is interesting. And in addition, we have ISIS in Iraq. Many ISIS members were indeed among those Syria had sent to fight the U.S. Army in Iraq. Now, Iran's motives, according to this article, the Jerusalem Center for Public Affairs, ISIS, Iran's instrument for regional hegemony. So this is what, just for those who are just joining us, we're trying to see if we could argue that ISIS is not a Sunni militia, but rather a Sunni Shia militia. So in Syria, ISIS has forced the West to choose between the Assad regime or the Al Qaeda-like organization.
Okay, I found this on the web for Force the Worst. Take a look.
My phone is going crazy. Just give me a second. My phone's going nuts. Okay, I just shut it off. Had to shut my phone off. But anyway, it's crazy stuff. Okay, given the scars of the Iran-Iraq war, Iranian leadership wants to be certain that a strong Iraqi state doesn't emerge along its western border. Iraq to become a subservient client state, or alternatively, that it could be divided along sectarian lines into Kurdish, Sunni, and Shiite states. Presumably, Iran will control or annex the Shiite sector containing the Shiite holy cities in Iraq. Okay, Najaf and Karbala. Iran even facilitated the transit of Al Qaeda members into and out of Afghanistan before 9/11, including future hijackers. Iran, according to the report, wished to conceal any past evidence of its cooperation with Sunni terrorists, association with Al Qaeda, but these connections continued. So this is one article, which is gave some interesting sources. So we're going to take some things out of this. I'm talking about because I'm going to blog this probably next week. Now here's an interesting article. ISIS. This is Iran-ISIS connection. This is Lee Smith of the Weekly Standard. No friend of Donald Trump. Weekly Standard is not a friend of Donald Trump. So this, according to Lee Smith and the Weekly Standard, the December 2011 withdrawal of U.S. forces from Iraq left a vacuum that has been filled by Iran, in particular by Quds Force Commander General Soleimani. The U.S. departure left Iraq's then Prime Minister Maliki free to wage a sectarian campaign against the Sunnis, including the tribes who had fought side by side with American forces against Al Qaeda in Iraq, ISIS. The Sunnis eventually lined up with the remnants of the Al Qaeda in Iraq, as well as the dead enders from Saddam Hussein's military and intelligence services, because this was the ouster. This was from this is because Al Qaeda in Iraq emerged after the ouster of Saddam Hussein, who today constitute much of Islamic State's leadership. The Islamic State is now, in many respects, simply the bloodiest, most fanatical part of a region-wide Sunni uprising against Iran's imperial imperial ambitions in the Middle East. Okay, but I'm continuing with the Iran-ISIS connection. Weekly Standard, Lee Smith, June of 2015. But when Soleimani and Iraqi militias could not take Tikrit back from ISIS on their own, the Obama administration had no problem tasking American pilots to, in effect, serve as the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps' Air Force. The administration is similarly. This is what like I fell off my chair. The administration is similarly flying drones over Lebanon that fed intelligence to Hezbollah-controlled units of the Lebanese armed forces. Hezbollah is the terrorism arm of Iran. By partnering with Iran, the Obama administration has only ensured that ISIS will grow, drawing its strength from the wider Sunni population. According to this article, it's a 9-to-1 margin, Sunni to Shia. So that's what Lee Smith had to say about this. And then I got this other article, which I found interesting. It's The Long War Journal by Thomas Jocelyn. Treasury designates 3 senior al-Qaeda members in Iran. The Treasury Department announced today that 3 senior al-Qaeda members have been added to the U.S. government's list of designated terrorists. All of them are located in Iran. We have Faisal al-Khaladi is a senior al-Qaeda official who is an emir in an al-Qaeda brigade and part of a new generation of al-Qaeda operatives. This al-Khaladi participated in an annual al-Qaeda council meeting with other al-Qaeda commanders to discuss weapons acquisitions. In 2011, al-Khaladi was responsible for liaisoning between al-Qaeda associates and al-Qaeda Central Sharia members, leaders within the U.S. designated terrorist group Tariq-e-Taliban in Pakistan. This goes to my Pakistan blog. Why isn't Pakistan a designated world state sponsor of terror? I have no idea. Okay, now here's another one. Treasury Department designated Bayami for acting on behalf of Al-Qaeda. He's a senior Al-Qaeda member and has been located in Iran since 2014. And this Bayami was reportedly involved in freeing Al-Qaeda members in Iran, as well as he served as a mediator with Iranian authorities. He's an Al-Qaeda affiliate. Prior to that, Bayami was involved in assisting Al-Qaeda members located in Iran. In 2014, he helped gather financing and served as several important members in a group of Al-Qaeda, including most recently 2015 securing funds from Syria for Al-Qaeda members and facilitating Al-Qaeda fund transfers. Now, Abu Bakr Muhammad, he was designated a terrorist by the U.S. Treasury, is a senior Al-Qaeda leader who served in several financial, communications, and logistic roles for the group. Abu Bakr Muhammad assumed control of the financing and organizations of Al-Qaeda members located in Iran before he traveled to Pakistan and served as a conduit to senior Al-Qaeda leadership as late as 2014, and he served within Al-Qaeda in an intelligence security capacity. It's crazy stuff, right? Now, understand, the drone strikes, this is where, things start to get crazy for me. And then in a few minutes, I'm going to get to the articles that I have here. Have some interesting stuff for tonight. So we talked about those 3 that were put on the U.S. Treasury. Now, this this Al-Khalidi sent a letter, appears to echo a letter from Abdul al-Rahman to Osama bin Laden in November 2010. Rahman, who was in bin Laden's top lieutenants, helped to broker Al-Qaeda's deal with the Iranian regime. So there are, this is, and Abu Musab al-Zakwari was the first leader in Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and there's articles by the Long War Journal, Thomas Jocelyn, that claims that Iran created a safe haven for this Al-Qaeda in Iraq, as well as with Bakr Abu al-Baghdadi, the second leader. Then there's other leaders that I'm starting to become familiar with, and we're going to tie them all in with Syria, because there's a leader that where I don't want to get too far down the road yet, but we got a few more minutes on this. So I discussed those two leaders, and there's more of them. In 2009, this is 2009, Treasury designated 4 Al-Qaeda members that were living in Iran, including Osama bin Laden's son, who was killed later in Pakistan. It is important that Iran give a public accounting of how it is meeting its international obligation to constrain Al-Qaeda. And 2011, the United States Treasury targeted Iran's formerly secret deal with Al-Qaeda, designated 6 radical Islamists who were involved in Al-Qaeda's operation within the country. One of them, Yassin al-Suri. He's a prominent Iran-based Al-Qaeda facilitator. We talk about him in the model. So, by exposing Iran's secret deal with Al-Qaeda, allowing it to funnel funds and operatives through its territory, we're illuminating yet another aspect of Iran's unmatched support of terrorism. That's David Cohn. This is in the Long War Journal, Thomas Jocelyn. David Cohn of the Undersecretary for Terrorism and Financial Intelligence. December 2011, State Department announced a $10 million reward for Yassin al-Suri. We talked about Yassin al-Suri again, and we talked about in February 2012, we talked about the MOIS, Iranian Ministry of Intelligence and Security, how they funded money and weapons to ISIS. And Yassin al-Suri as well. No, this ISIS, I think, right. I was thinking about, al-Numani from Qatar. In July of 2012, the State Department reported Iran remained unwilling to bring to justice senior Al-Qaeda members. It continued to detain and refused to publicly identify those members in its custody. October 2012, the Yassin al-Suri temporarily sidelined, and they brought in his replacement was Mushin al-Fadali, a veteran Kuwaiti operative who later relocated to Syria as part of Al-Qaeda's group, which was killed in an American airstrike, drones, and eventually was replaced by Yassin al-Suri. That's the Khorasan group, they call them, Al-Qaeda's Khorasan group. U.S. Treasury explained how the deal between the Iranian regime and Al-Qaeda works. Under the terms of the agreement between Al-Qaeda and Iran, the Treasury Department, the U.S. Treasury reported, Al-Qaeda must refrain from conducting any operation with the Iranian territory and recruiting operatives inside of Iran while keeping Iranian authorities informed of their activities. As long as Al-Qaeda didn't violate these terms, the government of Iran gave the Iran-based Al-Qaeda network freedom of operation and uninhibited ability to travel for extremists and their families. Unbelievable. May of 2004, this is like May of 2013, Iran allowed Al-Qaeda facilitators Mushin al-Fadali and Abdel Radi al-Harbi to operate a core facilitation pipeline through Iran, enabling Al-Qaeda to move funds and fighters to South Asia and Syria. Mushin al-Fadali began working with the Iran-based Al-Qaeda facilitation network in 2009, as we mentioned earlier. Treasury Department state officials told Al Jazeera that Yassin al-Suri now is once again in charge of Al-Qaeda's Iran nexus in Iran. Treasury Department identified another Iran-based Al-Qaeda facilitator, Sadakov, who was part of the Islamic Jihad Union. And the State Department once again noted that the Iranian regime hosted Al-Qaeda's core facilitation pipeline. And then we got this other gentleman, Treasury designated senior Al-Qaeda leader known as Sanafi al-Nasur, who served in early 2013 as chief of Al-Qaeda Iran nexus. He was a financial facilitation. He was head of the Al-Qaeda's Iran-based extremist and financial facilitation network. He relocated to Syria as part of the Al-Qaeda Khorasan group and was killed by a drone. So this is in August of 2014, and it's so this further moves along the narrative of the Al-Qaeda Iran nexus, Sunni Shia connection. So there's actual facilitators that live in Iran. Next week, I'm going to blog, and I'm going to go in deeper, and I'm going to see where conceivably we might see the influence in ISIS with Iran. Because I believe it's going to come out at least, that Iran is materially supporting ISIS. But this is just further proof. The Long War Journal by Thomas Jocelyn. Treasury designates 3 senior Al-Qaeda members in Iran. Great article. Okay, so, and just to give you a little idea, okay, good. So I'm going to keep that like that now. And now I'm going to kick to some stuff. I got the early voting. We're entering in, now we're in October 1st. This is after 12 o'clock. I want to go to about 12:30 with these articles. So I got here, Alaska's October, early voting for Alaska is October 24th. Arizona's October 12th. Arkansas is October 24th. Colorado's October 24th. District of Columbia is October 22nd. Georgia, October 17th. Voters can sign up for an absentee ballot starting September 20th. Florida, all counties are required to allow voting from October 29th to November 5th. And Idaho, September 23rd. Illinois, September 29th to November 7th. Indiana is October 12th. Iowa is September 29th. Kansas is October 19th. Louisiana is October 25th to November 9th. And Maine is October 9th. So we're October 1st right now. Maryland is October 27th to November 3rd. Massachusetts is October 24th to November 4th. Minnesota, September 23rd. So they're early voting. Nebraska is October 3rd. Nevada is October 22nd. New Jersey, September 24th. In-person early voting may begin sooner. New Mexico is October 11th to November 5th. North Carolina is September 9th. October 20th to November 5th. I think mail-in ballots in North Carolina is September 9th. And October 20th to November 5th is in-person voting. So that's the early voting. We're going to talk about it in the live show tonight. Okay, Trey Gowdy, Comey. You have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution. This is the real clear politics. Trey Gowdy questions FBI Director Comey during the House Judiciary hearing. What concerns me, according to Trey Gowdy, Director Comey, is when you have 5 immunity agreements and no prosecution, when are you allowing witnesses who happen to be lawyers sit in on an interview? That is not the FBI I used to work with. Wow. Trump to Obama. I love Trump, man. Trump is the greatest. I love Trump. Trump to Obama. Real clear politics. Trump to Obama. At a rally in Michigan, Trump asked Obama not to pardon Clinton and her co-conspirators if any charges are related to the email scandal. Trump said, Mr. President, Will you pledge not to issue a pardon to Hillary Clinton and her co-conspirators for their many crimes against our country, against our society itself? No one is above the law. That's what I'm talking about. The White House, the White House corrects location of Jerusalem on day of Simon Peres's funeral. Crazy stuff, right? They're claiming that Jerusalem is not in Israel. They crossed it out. They crossed it out. The White House. They crossed it out. It's unbelievable. ISIS prepares for final battle. U.S. troops 3 miles from site of ancient apocalypse prophecy. U.S. Special Forces are encircling a jihadi stronghold in Syria, claimed that ISIS to be an old Islamic prophecy as the site of the final battle triggering the apocalypse. Well, I don't know. I think things are going awry. Clinton rape accuser drops Twitter bomb on Chelsea, WorldNet Daily. And apparently, Juanita Broderick, one of Bill Clinton's victims, calls out Chelsea Clinton, claiming that her father is a sexual predator. In their own words, Breitbart News, in their own words, why bimbos fear a Hillary presidency. And as women's issues become part of the 2016 presidential race, it may be instructive to review recent statements made by some of Bill Clinton's alleged female victims regarding the ambitions of Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton. So, crazy stuff, man. Cascade Mall suspect is a U.S. citizen. Has come out recently. He's a U.S. citizen. Let's see. Arkin Seaton, the 20-year-old who killed 5 people at the Cascade Mall, is in fact a U.S. citizen. For days after shooting, Seaton was described by local and federal law enforcement as being a permanent U.S. citizen. He immigrated to the United States from Turkey when he was a child after his mother married an American citizen. Crazy. He voted 3 times apparently too. He voted 3 times. Social media, social intelligence. Facebook, artificial intelligence chief develops surveillance systems. Social media tech guru helped to devise technologies which could allow computers to spy on humans more effectively. Wow. So that's in Mark Zuckerberg's research division, contribute to academic papers exploring the creation of software which serve as a key component in an automated surveillance network. Facebook, Twitter, and Google have become a recruiting platform for terrorism. The Telegraph. Facebook, Twitter, and Google are deliberately failing to stop terrorists from using their websites to promote terrorism because they believe it will damage their brands. Wow, I don't know. What a crazy world we live in. Facebook's being accused of, I don't have this. We discussed this earlier. Breitbart News, Google search bias protecting Hillary Clinton confirmed in experiment. Right? And in a published report in Sputnik News, psychologist Robert Epstein reveals evidence that Google is manipulating search results related to Hillary Clinton that may shift as many as 3 million votes in the upcoming presidential election. So we have Google now. Earlier this year, Matt Lieberman of SourceFeed published a video that claimed Google's autocomplete suggestions were biased in favor of Clinton. The video went viral with an abridged version of it being viewed over 25 million times on Facebook. That's interesting, crazy stuff, right? It is difficult to get Google's search bar to suggest negative searches related to Mrs. Clinton, or to make any Clinton-related suggestions when one types a negative search term. Bing and Yahoo, on the other hand, often show a number of negative suggestions in response to the same search terms. Bing and Yahoo seem to be showing us what people are actually searching for. Google is showing us something else, but what and for what purpose? Facebook deletes Mimi page mocking Hillary Clinton. Breitbart News reports. Administrators of the lighthearted political page Liberty Mimis have been suspended from Facebook, and images mocking Hillary Clinton deleted from their page. The Facebook page, boasting over 100,000 likes, has had multiple images removed, as they apparently do not follow the Facebook community standards. I guess because they're against Hillary Clinton, right? Here's an interesting one. Social media application creator analytics and valid data predict Donald Trump presidential election. And obviously the context of polling and bias are key components within discussions of presidential elections and policy. At this point, there's virtually no one who would dispute the inherent media bias against candidate Donald Trump. Okay, this is great. What time is it? I think I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go through a few more of these articles and see what we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna pull out here. Frankie Russo, yeah. Don't forget, we gotta help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. We gotta help America's team help the men and women of the United States Armed Forces fight post-traumatic stress disorder. This is the Frankie Russo pre-show. I'll see you all in about an hour, about 40 minutes or so. Live here at 77 WABC. Yeah.